Wednesday, April 16th, aka 8 days.
You're always
until
taller than me
the
on these.
2025
I have to
NFL
sit
draft.
straight up, so I'm like a little dwarf.
Marleah Campbell here with Neil Jones. Neil, lot to talk about today. Your pick. We can go any order you want. NFL draft, Royals of New York City, or
First of all, I want to apologize to you.
It's not a great start to the show.
I did a segment today. I thought it was an award. I thought I was going to show up and get an award. I had to show up 3 hours early to work. And I came in and I was interviewed. It's not an award. It's like a segment they do.
Okay.
And they said, send me some fun pictures about you doing your job.
Oh,
and
no. I already know where this is
One of the
going.
pictures I sent was you wearing an In-N-Out hat.
Yeah.
As
soon as you said that, I knew exactly what you were talking about.
I couldn't find the one with Danny. Danny was wearing. I have one of both of you.
I thought it was one of, but it was just me. Thanks.
Yeah, I had one of you, just you.
Yeah.
And so I put it on there, and it was. She just put it in. I thought she was going to bring him up, and I was going to talk. Like there's a picture of me wearing a mask, covering a football game, college football game with one of those COVID masks. Yeah. And then I put stuff in there, but there were stories behind it. So I thought they were going to put it up, and I was going to tell stories. I was going to explain that I worked with you before you came to Channel 5. Yeah. Instead, that came up, and I'm like...
Just like on a
and it went away, and I went, wait a minute, that picture of Marleah, I knew her before she worked in television, obviously. Yeah. She worked at the Fort Worth In-N-Out Burger.
Oh, jeez.
So listen, you may be hearing from executives from In-N-Out. If you do whatever they say, and maybe we get free food.
Hey, I'm on board. Or getting them to Kansas City. For context, that was, 2022? That was on our way to
the Final Four.
Fort Worth, the first and second rounds of that run.
Yeah, that's right. You work with Danny and I, and it was that was a really good trip. You lost your wallet.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because I remember my wallet getting stolen.
But in all other ways, I thought it was unbelievable because Danny could shoot video, I shot video, you shot video.
Yep.
We're all working for CBS stations. We're all working for the same company. And we were able to give each other video.
We got a lot of cool stuff done.
Unbelievable. Because and I was able to shoot your live shots. You could shoot my live shots because your normal height, Danny, on the X, like subhuman short person. Great athlete, played professional football. It tells you how good an athlete she is. Faster than both of us, but she is short, so it was fun. I could shoot for you, and you could shoot for me. It was good.
Yeah, that was a good time.
You don't do that anymore, though. You've
yes,
changed.
I do.
No, they named you sports director, and it's all changed.
So this is when I was sports director in Topeka for KU's 2022 national champion run. So we drove down to Dallas, and then we drove up to Chicago. Neil, you weren't there. But
I had surgery.
I know.
What do you want?
Neil
Neil didn't show
Neil
up.
Skipped it. I don't know why.
I was laying in bed for a week, and then I came back for the Final Four.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And then you rallied back from surgery to drive to New Orleans to go to the Final Four, which is crazy. But no, I remember that being a lot of fun, and we got to do a lot of cool feature stories because one of us would get the press conference while I think Danny did something on like KU's lucky rug in the locker room. Yeah. Maybe you might have set that up with the equipment manager.
I helped set it up, but she found the story. So it's her story. She got that one.
That was a fun team to cover too with Ochai Agbaji and Christian Brown. Like those guys had really good personalities. That was a fun team to cover on the road.
Do you remember I taking you over with me and we interviewed Christian Brown's mom and dad? That was a big get.
Yep.
Do you remember that?
I remember it well. We were in the hotel room. Where was that? New Orleans? It all blurs together.
No, I think that was Fort Worth. We went downtown in Fort Worth to do that interview.
Also, during the show, I'm now realizing that I've been to New Orleans with you twice.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and neither of us went out ever. I mean, we worked. I mean, there was no fun to it. It was a no fun zone.
Nope.
But do you remember the interview in Fort Worth?
Vague, yes, and I don't think it's a story to retell.
I know. I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
On my deathbed, I'll be going, wow, that was an interesting deal.
And we will carry that to our grave.
It's not as exciting as it sounds, but it was pretty funny.
That was funny. Okay, rabbit hole of our 2022. How did we get
By
started
the way,
on
your
that?
mom and dad don't know that story, do
They're probably
they?
watching. Hello, I have no idea.
Good.
I doubt it. I think that's a secret you and I will share forever. Okay, 2022 run and my brief In-N-Out career over. Let's start with Royals. We'll just go in order. They're getting started 6:05 in New York City. Trying to avoid the sweep tonight. 0-2. They lost 4-1 and then 4-2 last night. Both of these games kind of stealing defeat from the jaws of victory. Neil, were you able to watch last night? Did you kind of see the meltdown in the sixth inning?
We do not have. We have YouTube TV, so I can't get the games. I was out.
Well, I have good news for you, Neil. You can watch 10 of them
I know.
TV5.
No,
That is huge.
That's one reason I'm really excited about it. But I watched part of them. On Monday night, I went out with met a neighbor, and we went out and had a Coke or something and watched some of the game. He used to work for the Royals, and we talked. Just not a whole lot, but we were like, golly, that ballpark's it's just ready-made to hit home runs in, and they didn't hit, at least when I watched, they didn't hit a home run.
Yeah, they got out of a little bit of a rut with Bobby Witt Jr. Gabe called it actually on the show, hitting his second home run of the year. And then MJ Melendez, which is saying something because I think his batting average is like a 0.99 or something, pretty atrocious. Which, Neil, do you have any opinions on that before we move on?
Well, he's a left-handed bat on a ballpark where the ball flies out to right field. It carries really well, and it's a short porch, so it makes sense. He's a guy who came to the big leagues because he could hit. Right. He could not catch, but he could flat out hit. How did it? We all know what can happen. But it's just like, how could that? I don't know how it could happen. Yeah. It happens all the time. We see it with golfers. We see it with baseball swings. The swing is complex. You could be great for 2 or 3 years, and suddenly you're not great anymore. I can't believe it's the same guy who came up and could flat out hit from the day he got here, and now I don't know what it is, if they've messed with him or he's messed with his head. I look at him, and he looks like he's completely lost at the plate. I feel so bad for him. I'm rooting for him.
Gabe pointed out he's one of the statistical worst in all of baseball.
It's nice of Gabe to do that.
Thanks, Gabe.
Gabe, thanks very much for pointing that out.
A positive riff on this show. Okay, so Royals tonight. Zerpa obviously giving up the a walk that ended up scoring bases loaded, 2 outs, and then the 3-run double on 2 outs to lose 4-2. Otherwise, Royals were in the driver's seat to take that one.
I did not know that. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Zerpa came in the 6th for Michael Wacha, and bases loaded, 2 outs, couldn't get out of the inning, and Royals lose 4-2. So finale tonight before you head to Detroit for a big series. I know it's early in the season, but still, it's looking right now very early that the AL Central is going to be tight in those first 3 spots. So anytime I think you can chip away at those is a big opportunity.
Well, I just went up to Gabe maybe 10 minutes ago here in the newsroom.
Come on this show.
And I said, Gabe, how many games behind are they? And he said they're 2. Mm-hmm. They're okay. It'd be nice if they have a nice series against Detroit, but the point, what you don't want is to have such an awful first month that you, at the end of the month, you're 9 games behind the leading team in the division, and you're also 5 or 6 games out in the wild card. That's what you don't want to do the first month. Can't win it in the first month, but you can dig such a hole that it makes it awfully hard to make the postseason the first month. You can do that. So I'm glad they're not scoring runs right now, and we haven't seen their best. But the fact is they're hanging in there in the race. Yeah, and haven't been swept so far this year. They've been able to squeak by with at least 1 win. Hopefully they do that tonight heading into Detroit. And then back at home a week from yesterday. So this upcoming Tuesday, they'll be back at home for the Rockies and then a 3-game series against the Astros. The Sunday game of that series will be on KSMO. Is that Easter Sunday or not? No, it's after. No, Easter is this Sunday. Yeah, I had to do the math. Yeah, no. So the week after Easter Sunday, back on our air. Well, very good. I'm excited about that. It'll be fun to have them back on Channel 5. People liked it. People at the ballpark were coming up to me that day going, man, this is so neat that it's on regular television. Yeah, Ryan Hennessy, one of our news reporters, did a story with a nursing home that got to have a watch party and all watch the game together because, like you, Neil, a lot of folks don't necessarily get all the channels with all the different packages and things. So pretty cool that everyone in Kansas City gets to watch Royals baseball. He is so nice. Ryan is so great. He came up and he had gotten a pamphlet about the facility because he thought I might be interested in that. I thought you were talking stadium stuff for a second. No, I mean, isn't that nice? That's very kind and thoughtful of him. Yeah, the stadium, what do you make of that? Yeah, where do we even start? I'm curious to see, we were given, when we heard from John Sherman, I think it was the day before opening day, the night before opening day, right? That we would get a location by mid-calendar year, so June, July, August kind of area. Neil, this feels like this thing that's kind of been hanging over, like this little cloud over Kansas City for, 2 years now, and even with the failed vote, it's kind of still clinging on. I'm curious how Royals kind of turning things around, because remember, in the midst of this vote was their 106 loss season, right? Which, Sherman kept saying, we're not talking about baseball right now, we're talking about baseball 50 years from now, but
I have no idea which way this is going to go, and I'm curious to see. I think the big milestone everyone should keep their eyes on is the site selection, because then you can actually have real tangible conversations. Right now it's just kind of like waiting.
I heard someone with the Royals, fairly highly placed, who told me I'm never going to a downtown stadium. If they go to a downtown stadium, they're going without me. And
it looks like there's my desk is shaking, so I'm like, okay, back to you. Earthquake.
But that is interesting.
I know.
So in theory, I'm the only thing I would like to, I would either like to have them stay where they are, because I love it there and I love that ballpark. Stay where they are, or go downtown or around downtown where they think they can boost the city and make the downtown better, and hundreds of millions of dollars of state and federal money is, I assume, I don't know that we can assume anything, federal government anymore, but infrastructure to boost downtown, because you're going to have to. It can't go like it is now. When they have a concert that might have 10 or 11,000 people at the T-Mobile Center, traffic gets backed up on I-35 both directions. It gets backed up on I-70 both directions, people coming downtown. Now, it dissipates pretty quickly, but if you had 81 baseball games, which presumably have more than 11 or 12,000 or 10,000 people like a concert, I don't know how it works unless they really beef it up and add a bunch of lanes and put special exit lanes and all that stuff. I don't know how they could do it otherwise. My son lives down there off Main and 31st and Main, and going down to see him, it's like driving through a minefield.
Yeah. Logistically, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around.
And the roads aren't very good.
Yeah.
So, and we all know the parking is pretty scary. And the people who are in the know, they really look at people like me who bring up parking, and they're like, "Are you crazy? People park down there all the time." I'm like, "Yeah, but when you and I go down there, it's kind of, you have to walk
Unless
about
I
a
have
quarter
a
of a
media
mile."
pass. Yeah, I was thinking the last time I was parking at downtown, and it would have been Big 12 tournament, where fortunately we have media passes, because it's.
But we park a quarter of a mile away and drag it through the streets.
Fortunately, we have wagons. Yeah, those wagons are our best friend, especially during football season, which is a lovely segue to 1 week from tomorrow. NFL draft kicking off in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
What
Neal,
a great place.
Doesn't it feel like the draft was here like last year? It's been several years now, but it really feels like it was just here.
It all blends together.
It does all blur together.
It does. It really does, especially when you have the kind of seasons the Chiefs have had, where they've been every year.
It's a similar story every year. We're going to the Super Bowl.
Or they're going to the AFC Championship game at least.
Yeah.
And let's host it, by the way, except for the 1 year.
Yeah.
And it all blends together. The parades, the drafts, everything. I'm glad the draft is not here. I thought that was a lot. That was really hard.
Yeah, that was a lot of work. Speaking of, that conversation blurs with our conversation about the downtown stadium. Logistically, how difficult it was to get around. I thought they did a great job, but yeah, it'll be a much less. We'll get a lot less steps on Thursday. Let's just say that, with the kicking off in Green Bay. But Neal, you and I will be at the Chiefs facility for press conferences after the Chiefs announce all of their picks. They have number 31 for their first round pick, and then they have 8 total. So we've talked a little bit about this, but as we've kind of seen the offseason develop, any glaring needs? Are you still on the left tackle train, or do you think the signing of Jalen Moore kind of alleviated that pressure? Where are you at with the Chiefs?
No, the free agent signing is huge. It looks to me like they could go out and play a football game right now with what they have.
Right.
Would they be the prohibitive favorite? Maybe not. But I think that they're in pretty good play. They're in a place where they can go out and afford to take the best available players on the board. They don't have to go out and get a defensive end. They don't have to go out and get an offensive tackle. They don't have to go out and get anything, a linebacker. They took care of a lot of that in the offseason by re-signing players, by going out and getting the left tackle on the free agent market or trade or whatever it is they did. I guess it was free agent. So they addressed all that, and they can go out and get the best available players. It's just so hard when you draft so low. Okay, well, we want to move up to get somebody. Well, from the 31st position, where are you going to go? Up 5 or 6 picks? What I think they're probably going to do is move down and pick up draft picks and try to, get players and trust their board and trust their scouts and trust their ability to identify players and go out and get them, which is not a very sexy thing to do. But, boy, you can end up with some good football players that way.
Yeah, and we've seen what Veach is capable of doing in later rounds. Guys like Isaiah Pacheco, for example. A lot of guys in the secondary were like fourth round and later, which I imagine the Chiefs will make a similar move this year given the roster turnover. But we'll find out in 8 days. NFL draft coming up a week from Thursday.
Tomorrow Veach speaks, but it's via Zoom, is that right?
Yes, at 10 or 11, I think. So we'll hear some of what he's thinking. Obviously, Chiefs not one to reveal their hand, but it will be nice to catch up with them because we haven't heard from the Chiefs since, Monday after the Super Bowl.
I did a story last year that basically said NFL general managers and head coaches all lie immediately leading up to the draft.
Yeah, why would you not? Why would you say what you're doing? We're going to go for it.
And I asked Veach either last year or 2 years ago, I said, should we believe anything a GM says? And he's got this huge smile on his face, and he said, I don't, and I talk to them now, and I don't believe what they're telling me on the phone, and I don't really tell them everything.
Yeah.
Even people you know really well, you don't get mad if they mislead you because you understand that's the job.
That's literally what we're doing right now. Yeah. Okay.
That's like what you did prom. You had like 5 guys thinking you were going to go to prom with them, and you ended up jilting 3 of them. One of them got arrested, and then you went with the other one, right?
Got arrested. Jeez, that took a turn. Okay, rounding this out because we only got a couple minutes left. College football. Neal, you've been doing some reporting.
It's only 47 after.
Yeah, we got to go in like 8 minutes or so. Okay. We got a show to talk to. You've been doing some college football reporting these last couple weekends. I think you were most recently at Kansas. But I know you've been listening like I have into K-State and Mizzou's spring conferences as we kind of round out spring ball later this month. Let's start with the Jayhawks, specifically their new facility. What's the vibe like at KU practice? How excited are these guys to play home games this season after a year of basically playing an entire year on the road?
Well, I think they're excited in that there are a bunch of jobs open. After, they were so veteran the last 2 years. They had a lot of guys back who had a lot of experience starting. I mean, if you're a high school running back, did you really think you were going to beat out Devin Neal and this year's starter, the kid from Oklahoma?
Daniel Highshaw?
Daniel Highshaw. What a great player from Moore, Oklahoma. You're not going to beat them out yet, and nobody wants anybody to get hurt, but that's the reality. Now you have an opportunity. There are a bunch of guys who know, hey, if I have a really good spring camp, I'm going to go into the fall and I'm going to have an opportunity to play. And so I think there's great vitality and excitement there. They think that their quarterback is going to be able to come back. But if he doesn't, there are people who have played some snaps and who are really physically gifted. I think that
Ballard played well against K-State. Weren't you and I at that game?
Yeah, absolutely. He, for a true freshman who had not played very much.
Yeah.
He'd come in the week before against Texas Tech. He got knocked out of the game. Everybody got knocked out of the game. So he finished that game, and then he came back. And, it was a true freshman thrown
almost carrying KU to that upset.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, thrown into the Sunflower Showdown. So I think you've got some guys. I think that they're going to be better at that position. It's kind of exciting there. The facility is truly impressive. I told my wife, we went over there on Monday, and I said, God, I wish we could get in there to look. We couldn't see it from the car because it is really impressive. Much bigger and impressive, much more impressive to me in person than through any of the stuff you see on social media with the drone footage and stuff. It really is. So I'm impressed with that. But, Marlene, I think, Marleah, one of the things that's really interesting is what's going on right now. They are entering a transfer portal open in football right after spring ball. So if you didn't have a good spring and the coaches yelled at you a lot and you're sitting there at 3rd or 4th string anywhere in the country, you can be open for business. They had the kid from the quarterback at Tennessee, true freshman or a freshman last year, supposed to be unbelievable, making $2.4 million in NIL money. He goes to the coaches. He and his dad go to the coaches and say, "We want more money, or we're leaving." Mm-hmm. And they go, "We're not. We've already made our plans. We can't do it." So he's leaving.
Yeah.
And now coaches are calling kids who are at schools. The rumor is the K-State coach, K-State quarterback, Avery Johnson, has been people close to him have been approached saying, is he interested in leaving? Is he going to go in the portal? K-State allegedly went to him and said, look, we're happy with you. we don't want you to leave. And so it's so messed up.
Yeah.
It's one thing to transfer out in January. The season's over. We're getting ready for a bowl. Missing the bowl's not very good, but people do it. But to transfer out this late after spring practice, but it's the reality of it. They've got to address it. The NCAA or somebody has got to grow up and say, we're not doing this. We'll have a transfer portal. It'll be open for 6 weeks after the end of the season, but then after that, we don't. And I understand the courts have ruled a lot of this stuff, but it's ridiculous. It's like saying that, you can be a free agent 4 different times in the NFL. I mean, you've got to eventually what they're going to have is they're going to have contracts, and they're going to have probably have a union, and they're going to be employees. They're going to have to pay taxes. There's going to be a contract. I signed a 2-year deal. That means I can't transfer out in 2 years. That's the only thing that makes sense if they're going to go to a pro model. I hate it because schools can't plan. I mean, Mizzou just lost a couple of football players right now, and it's like, how do you get ready for the fall? Oklahoma just went and got 2 big-time players, one from Stanford and one from Cal, who left their programs just now. And it's just, to me, it's horrible.
I thought it was funny. Chris Kleiman addressed this, and I think it was specifically about what, Neal, you and I were talking about the last time we were on the show together, which is Kansas State having to cut like upwards of 20 guys. Walk-ons who want to be there. K-State wants them there. They're paying their own way, and they can't be on the roster because of the 105-player limit. And Kleiman was like, I think it was almost verbatim, he said, what's happening off the field in college athletics is a disaster. What's happening within the lines is great, but off the field, it's just a mess.
It is terrible. It is so horrible, and it's horrible at every level. To tell kids you can't walk on, pay your own way. I want to play at KU. I want to be a Missouri Tiger. I want to be the guy who makes it at K-State, and have to be told. And K-State has a really good walk-on program.
Yeah, they have guys that by their junior, senior years, they're on scholarship and they're contributing members of the roster. Like, it's not just a, practice player kind of deal.
Well, one coach told a friend of mine's son that if you come to K-State, we will coach you up, and we will, with the idea that you're going to grow into be a starter for us. But if it doesn't work out, if you're not happy or whatever, at the very least, you're going to get a great training room. We're going to take care of you. We've got great trainers. We've got great coaches who will be working with you. You will leave after a season. If you choose to leave after a season, you'll be better as a student and as a football player. Now, those kids, I'm sorry, you can't come. We have to. And Kleiman
and for what benefit? Like,
it's so bad. Coach Kleiman said, we try to tell them early so that they can catch on something for next fall. It's really, really bad. It's because of the fact that they can pay players and they've got a budget. And the Power 4 conferences, they're the ones who came to that 105 number. It could have been 115 and been a lot better, but they went to 105, and that's the way it is.
Well, on that bummer of a note, we will call it a day here on KC Sports Tonight. Thanks so much for watching. Same time, same place tomorrow. Royals get started at 6:05 this evening, so about 10 minutes. And Brett Beach, Chiefs GM, talking tomorrow morning. You will hear from him all afternoon, all evening here on KCTV5. So we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.